Hi guys, just back at the 7 metre by 5 metre massive drum studio that we're building. Last time we were here, we got all the insulation in, we got all the electrics in, we got the rubber roof bonded on and some of the roofing trims. Today, we're going to be getting the inner walls in. So we've got our base plates down here. We're going to be getting the inner walls up, which we've prefabricated and pre-insulated. So they're going to go up. We've also got a bit of a work around the ceiling joist to get a bit more height inside the room. So stay tuned and check that out. It's going to be quite complicated how that's set up, but it'd be good for you guys to see if you're building your own studio and you want to get that bit more height out of the room, but stay within the 2.5 metre external height. We've also got a big giveaway prize, which has been running over the last couple of videos. Stick around and check how you can win. Anyway, we're going to get set up and we'll bring you guys back shortly. Few panels here. What have we got in the other van? We brought all that rock wool because we're going to be making the ceiling on site, or the roof should I say. We've got a few more panels there. We've also got these 8x3 beams, which we're going to be doing something a little bit different with, just to get a bit more height out of the room, but we'll get to that. Let's get loaded in. To carry the internal ceiling, we're going to have beams either side of this one, and we're going to expose the beams in the plasterwork, which obviously gives a bit more height, so we'll probably end up with about 2.1 internally.
Here we are adding the side walls, which have been built using 4x2 CLS timbers and insulated with a high density rock wool. As we work around the room, we cut out slots so we can avoid the side walls touching the main support beams. We also position the 4-inch plastic ducting to the sides so we can later pull through the inner ceiling.
Okay guys, that's more than half the room in now. We've got this long wall, that end wall, so this is 7 metres, well externally this was 7 metres, that's 5 metres, and we've got some of the window wall in. We're just going to have a quick bit of breakfast, and we'll bring you guys back in a few minutes. Okay guys, that's most of the walls in. Just got this bit above the window to do, which we didn't quite have a proper measurement for it in terms of the height, so we're going to do that now. Also, what I'm going to do whilst Jacob's doing that is just work out some extra timbers to hold the joist hangers to get the 2 timbers either side of this main beam. As I say, we're going to try and straddle this with 2 beams, one either side, and that'll mean our inner roof can go a bit higher up. So I'm going to be doing that whilst Jacob is making that other panel. Yeah. It's all taking shape.
In order to add some extra supports to carry the joist hangers, I carefully remove a section of the rock wool using a handsaw. I then add a piece of horizontal 4x2 timber across the studs, followed by a number of smaller vertical timbers. Once this is complete, I add a small piece of insulation to plug the hole so sound will not escape through this area. I then repeat this on the opposite side of the wall and then later on the other side of the room.
That's some extra timbers put around that beam just to carry the joist hanger. It's still decoupled from the other beam. We've obviously just stuffed a bit of rock wool in there, but the idea is we're going to get a beam going here and then one on this side, and then we'll essentially box this beam in so this will stick out of the plasterboard, and then it means that this internal roof can actually go a bit higher up. It's just a way of getting a little bit more height out of the room, so we essentially have like 2 boxed in beams and then the roofs in between will obviously a bit higher. Also help out a little bit with the plastering because there's obviously a big space to plaster in one go. Just going to set this up, get these beams in, get some good measurements, and then the next stage will obviously be getting the inner parts of the roof in.
We begin this job by firstly cutting the beams down to the correct size on a chop saw. We then add joist hangers either side of the beams using the nails provided. It's useful when installing to position a couple of timber supports either side of the walls at roughly the correct height. We then use the supplied fixings to connect the beams to the inner walls using a spirit level as we go.
That's our outer shell beam, which is supporting the roof, and that obviously goes all the way across the building, obviously through that slot there. This is the inner wall, and obviously these two timbers are actually connected to this inner wall on both sides. These beams are isolated from that beam. That's taking shape. What we need to do next is obviously get the roof sections in. And we're actually going back to the workshop now, so we're going to do those off-site, and then the next time we come, we're going to get those sections in, obviously start getting the plasterboarding done. So we'll see you guys shortly. Right guys, we're just back at the studio. We've had a few days back in the workshop, and we've actually built all these internal sections of the roof. Obviously, as mentioned last time, we're decoupling these timbers from this one, and we're going to get a bit more height out of the room, hopefully about just over 2.1 meters, and obviously that's pretty good for the span of these beams, and obviously because we're going to 2.5 externally. So yeah, there's a lot to squeeze in, but what we're going to do is we're going to get set up, we're going to get these roof panels in, and then we're going to be starting plasterboarding today, hopefully start with the ceiling, and then by the end of play tomorrow we should have the room all plasterboarded. I think it's going to be 55, 60 plasterboards to double board it. So yeah, quite a lot to get on. We'll bring you guys back once we set up. These are the roofing panels.
17.7. Same that side. Yeah. So we cut like a little 17.7 chalk.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And chuck it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a bit out.
Yeah, it will be. Okay, follow me.
Where are we going?
Got these beams spanning across, but what we want to make sure is they're totally parallel going all the way down from either side of the room. So we're going to cut a bit of a chop here. You've just measured it, Jacob, as 17.7?
Internally.
So I'm just going to cut a piece, and then we can basically screw those together. And obviously when we put the internal ceiling in, it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay parallel, because obviously we're going to box these beams in later on, or when the job's a bit more complete. Let's go outside, follow me.
Cheat code number 4.
Let's see if we can do this.
I stand back.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Finally learned how to use the tools. Voila. See how far we need to pull it in now, don't you?
This could be interesting. Right, okay. We'll go in the middle, roughly. Of course the battery's going.
Totally under spec.
Battery's going.
Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the wake up, get out the sheets. You came for one man to get my piece.
Always be careful of your fingers. Now the magic bit. This is never working.
That's not gonna go through.
We not got any big boys?
It's alright, I'll do it.
Hand. Like magic.
Please get on your knees. Came from the jungle, up in the trees. I got a
Do
few
it
tricks
flat.
in the sleeve. One wrong move, I'ma let out the
Oh, delicious.
Tell you what.
until he step out the police and my whole place scream, gotta get out. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough for me.
Right,
Bye.
let's get on to the next bit. Thank you.
Blue.
Make sure it's not twisted. So we've got one cable there, which is going to go for this part of the room. So obviously there's going to be 3 sections. Going to put another 1.5 cable here for the middle. And obviously we've got one here for this side. Kit's going to go on this side with obviously the feature wall. So that'll highlight that nicely. Yeah, so I think we can get another cable to here. We've got 3 independent lights that can be switched as required. So we just got the laser set up there, which gives us the bottom of our timbers. Obviously we're going to start getting them in here. I think they're 1.2 meter length, so whatever this distance is, and then they're 1.2, so they're easy to put up. Obviously we've prefabricated these and pre-insulated them. But yeah, that's kind of a good way of getting the ceiling nice and straight. Obviously it's in 3 sections, so you're not going to see it as much if it was one complete span. But nonetheless, these will be perfectly straight. So yeah, we're going to start bringing those in now.
So we begin by installing the pre-insulated roofing sections. As mentioned, these are 1.2 meters wide, mainly for ease of transportation, and so they will accept the standard sheet of 8x4 foot plasterboard. We're using 80mm torque screws here to fix to the walls and the beam.
Okay guys, that's one side of the ceiling all in, all laser level, nice and straight. Obviously we've got this beam revealed here and we're going to box this in so it's going to be a tiny bit lower. Make a bit of a feature of that. We're also going to get the lights, hopefully one set of lights on this side of the beam so it can illuminate this whole area. And as mentioned, we'll have one in the middle and one on the other side. Just going to have a quick break now and then we'll get on with the rest of the ceiling boards.
Okay guys, just to give you details of how you can win an amazing prize, we're going to be building some 100mm acoustic panels with scorched timber surrounds, which are going to be positioned around the room to control the internal acoustics. We're giving away 4 of these panels in a colour of your choice to one lucky subscriber who makes a comment on one of the videos in this series. The winner will be announced once the build is complete and is limited to the UK only. Good luck.
Okay guys, that's all the roof sections up. We've got all 3 in place now and all nice and straight. So we're going to start plasterboarding. We've got around 24 sheets that we just got delivered. We're going to pick up the rest in the morning so we know exactly how many to get. We're expecting it to be 55, 60 maybe. Who knows? But
60, are you nuts?
so we're going to start over here. We're going to start plasterboarding that. We're going to be putting on this wall, which will be tomorrow, some heavy density MDF, some exterior MDF, which we've got to use up. Could be today. We'll see how we get on. Thanks for that, Jacob. We'll get that on that wall first and then plasterboard over the top. That's the end the kit's going to go, just to sort of beef that up a little bit. But yeah, so we're going to get this section in and we'll bring you guys back in a minute.
Sweaty, aren't they?
They're not sweaty. It's that's water.
Spaghetti.
That's water, Jacob. You know, water from the tap. We'll bring you guys back.
From the tap.
Love this music guys, so I'm reluctant to talk over it, but here we're adding in the standard 12.5mm plasterboard with 40mm drywall fixings. If you use the 42mm screws, they will go through the second layer of board also. Don't forget to pull through any electrics and mark the position of the ducting if it is being pulled through the ceiling.
That's one of the 3 ceilings done. We're going to move on to the next 2. It's going to sound very clicky at this point because obviously you've got just one bit of the room plasterboarded and obviously sounds just hitting the floor and bouncing up and down. So once you get the whole room plasterboarded, obviously you'll have acoustic treatment in this kind of room. So that obviously takes down all that ambient clicky noise. So all good. Anyway, we're going to crack on now and we'll bring you guys back. Maybe once we've done these 2 sections. That's all the plasterboarding done, guys. Let's have a look inside. So that's the ceiling all done. Plasterboard going in tomorrow in the walls. We've got this exterior Medite MDF, which is super dense. And these are offcuts from some of our doors that we've made over the period of time. So we're going to do this wall, the first layer we're going to do in the MDF. Obviously put a plasterboard over that. So that's really taking shape, guys. Don't forget to make a comment, like the video, subscribe. You've got a chance of winning the giveaway prize. I'll see you guys in the morning. Okay guys, we're just back at the studio this morning. We're going to start off today getting some of this dense MDF, which is like an exterior Medite MDF. As I explained yesterday, we've got like tons of this in the workshop because we obviously make some of the internal doors out of this, so we get like quite a big offcut. So what we're going to do is this side's going to be the kit end, so drum kit's going to be mainly here. So we're going to do this wall, which is like a 5-meter span externally, probably about 4.3 internally. We're going to get those boards on here first, and then obviously we're going to plasterboard over the top, so we normally do 2 layers of plasterboard. We've got the rest of the room to plasterboard as well. We've got our bags of multi, it's about 10 bags. We've got another 22 boards in the van, which will do the walls and stuff. So yeah, yesterday obviously we got all the ceiling bits done, which was great. So anyway, we're going to get set up and we'll bring you guys back once we got a bit further on. Oh well guys, I think it's time for breakfast. We've got the MDF on. It works pretty well. So obviously we'll have a layer of plasterboard over this, which gives it a little bit more density at this area. This is actually going to be a feature wall as well, so it'll be a bit different anyway, but it's kind of a good use of the materials. As I say, this is what we normally make the inner doors out of, so it's very dense. Taking shape.
It is, isn't it?
Big shout out guys to anyone who's bought us a coffee on our Buy Me a Coffee page. Thanks to those of you who bought us a coffee already. These mugs are fantastic by Audix. They don't actually belong to us, and we're not sponsored by Audix, but if they wanted us to give us some free mugs, then we'd obviously welcome those. They're fantastic. I don't think you can buy them in the UK. I can't actually find them, but anyway, if you want to buy us a coffee on our Buy Me Coffee page, that'd be much appreciated. Thanks to those who have done. Also, if you want to become a member of the channel, there are some more in-depth videos on how to do certain aspects of soundproofing, which are included in those videos, so that's worth checking out. But yeah, thanks for watching guys, and see you later on. That's the first layer on those walls, guys.
What?
That's the first layer on those walls. Just to say that these are the offcuts off the ceiling, and we don't waste any of the plasterboard. So on the first layer, we always use the offcuts.
We care about dolphins, don't we?
We do care about the environment. And the thing is, the second layer will go over the top of this and cover it nicely, and then it'll be plastered and totally sealed. So it all works, and it saves plasterboard and landfill and chucking it in a skit. It looks kind of cool. Anyway, let's crack on.
We continue to add the second layer of plasterboard, making sure on this layer that the boards land on a stud. This layer also has more screws added to avoid any lateral movement in the boards, and so there is no cracking once plastered. Working in a two is ideal when dealing with this quantity of plasterboards, as this means one can be cutting outside whilst the other is fitting internally.
That's us done with all the plasterboarding in the studio. Took quite a while because obviously a lot of boards. Let's just have a quick look around. So internally this is approximately 6.3 by 4.3. So it's 7 by 5 externally. We've got all the plasterboards on, it's double layer, and we've obviously got all the scrim tape on as well, ready for the plastering, which I think I'm probably going to be doing next week. But yeah, that's all looking pretty sweet, and yeah, nice and clean. So that's going to be interesting. The finish on this, and obviously what these beams are going to look like. We're not sure exactly how we're going to finish these yet, but we're definitely going to put a rock wool in between there and a slab there, which will just stop any sound escaping in that area. So yeah, all getting there now. So thanks for watching again, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe. Make any comments on the video if you want a chance of winning the giveaway prize. We shall see you on the next one. So it's starting to really come together now.